To this now, there's been mixed reaction to the 47 billion rand support package for Transnet. Now, this, of course, is not a cash injection, but a guarantee facility to allow the parastatal to raise new debt with the banks. Now, Finance Minister Inokodongwana, of course, announcing this, and the concerns about the company's finances have led to lenders also being reluctant to provide additional support because the company is at risk of defaulting on debt repayments. And let's now speak to Mesela Nhlapo, African Rail Industry Association CEO. Thank you so much for your time. I wonder how much of a relief, in your view, is this guarantee?
Good evening. I think the question should be, can we afford as a country not to appreciate this guarantee? I think that is long overdue. We need all hands on deck and boots on the ground from all parties concerned, including the investors and the employees. And we can only assist Transnet to recover if we support them.
And some are saying, that this, of course, it's much needed, as you say, but they have a word of caution saying that, there's also the issue of skills that needs to be looked into when it comes to this particular entity, because giving the guarantees, but also giving it to people who are still there, they say that for them, things need to change at management level in order for us to see some of the shake-ups. And I wonder, what are your thoughts on that?
We talk about management level, but we forget the men and women that work very hard for Transnet and for this country. And those are the lifeblood of the economy, those individuals within Transnet. And I think that it's important to acknowledge their importance and not place a bad mark on them. There are people that are willing to work, that have the necessary skills within Transnet. It does not mean that there's no room for growth, but I think it must be, the thinking must be strongly be discouraged that we look at the current Transnet employee as not having the right skills, because currently they are assisting the country in getting the logistics going at the rate that they are working on. So I think that must be cautioned very strongly. We have the skills at Transnet. There are skills in the industry, and together we can save Transnet and the country.
And I suppose that also that the fact that, this particular guarantee comes with tough conditions, for example, reducing the current cost structure, among others, is also possibly encouraging, given what we've seen, happen at Transnet in the past, one would say even in the last decade.
So the conditions are normal, and I think that as a country, we've been looking forward to this support by government, because with the new board coming on board and having a strategy, a plan that is not supported by government, they then therefore cannot support any implementation or rescuing of the situation as we find it today. So it's going to be quite important that us as a country realize the importance of us supporting Transnet where it finds itself, because we cannot afford to not to have Transnet. And we also talk about a 5% cost of the GDP to the economy. Now let's look at that 5% and say, if the state does not come to the party, if the state does not guarantee investors and financiers around the world that should anything go wrong at Transnet, they will back that up. It's not a cash injection, it's merely a guarantee that says that should anything go wrong, we will back it up. And Treasury will have the duty to then ensure that Transnet keeps to its promises. And I would imagine that they'll be quite strict with Transnet on these matters. And one will ask why a sudden shift to Mesela to say let's support Transnet is because the rail industry depends on Transnet. If we don't have Transnet, the majority of black business, black women-owned business, youth-owned businesses will suffer greatly if there's no Transnet. So we have to have a Transnet. And for that rail reform, you need to have a functioning Transnet.
And
it's important for the economy. It is important for rail reform.
Yeah, and I suppose then the issue then of the skills is quite an important one, because I was listening to the president and the public enterprises minister as they visited the Richards Bay port and also Durban port, as they were looking at what exactly has been happening in terms of the the recent chaos, and they mentioned this issue that they now want to look at the skills of the people that are working in some of the key positions here to make sure that we avert a crisis like this. So how critical is this particular skills audit as well to also ensure that the country provides the support that you say for Transnet, because we need to have the right people in the right places?
Well, I think as a country we like to do post-mortem. And when there's a crisis, we want to look at the likes of the skills. I will say where we are at the moment, let's use what we have so that we can deliver on what the country expects us to deliver. And most importantly, I would like to have the rail industry working again. And we can only get that once we move the conversation from ideas that don't matter. You're going to do a skills analysis or audit now. How is it going to help with the current situation? It won't help anyone. Guys, let's work. Let's work. This thing of keeping the executive busy in meetings in and out and wanting to do a post-mortem and skills audit, let's do it next year, sometimes when we have time. But now, South Africa needs us. We have to work. We cannot fail. Transnet is us. We are Transnet.
All right. Thank you so much, Mesela. And as you say, it's time to work and ensure that, the economy also gets this much needed boost as we've seen the slow growth. But let me thank you for your time. That's all we have time for. That's Mesela Nhlapo, African Rail Industry Association CEO.